Yo guys, what's going on? Zoinks here, back with another Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel video. Want to have you guys check out a sweet Exodia list that we've been playing. I actually took from DZeef. Definitely check him out. Great content creator. But it's a very, very consistent Exodia deck that doesn't use like the Blue Eyes White Dragons and the tuners and stuff like that. It doesn't focus as much on that. It uses this card called Map to actually get the RML out so fast. And then like your basic chicken game, pot of duality, all that kind of stuff. The big point of this deck is to really get your Royal Magical Library out, equip it with a Bamboo Sword, and then just abuse Golden Bamboo Sword as much as possible, man. Like, quite literally as much as possible. You just want to play this, and then you use Magical Stone Excavation to discard 2 cards and add 2 cards to your hand, which we'll get to eventually after we drop all the cards in our hand. I didn't do an actual game with this deck because I feel like a lot of it is exactly this. You can see our opponent didn't do anything. Didn't have a hand trap or anything like that. And really all it is just playing solitaire. I'm just playing this solo, just trying to push through it. We Magical Mallet here so we can get another draw. I think this has got no counters on it. So yeah, this is the big point of the deck, is basically just thin through the deck, get as much. That's one of my favorite tech options in this deck too, is you can play double summoning and get 2 magical libraries out, and that is so much card advantage. It's very hard to lose once you have 2 of these out, because being able to draw 2 cards after every 3 spells is pretty gross. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's a very, very, very strong combination. But we'll go over the deck list after this match, but I just want to at least watch this one and show you guys like what's going on. Yeah, basically running like chicken game. We're running terraform to look for chicken game, that kind of stuff. Obviously upstarts and into the voids and stuff like that. The cool tech option in this deck that I really like, I don't think it shows up in this game, but it might, is I think it's like Factory of Dark Mass Production or some shit. I don't know. It lets you put 2 normal monsters back in your hand from graveyard, which is super good. And when you have Magical Stone Excavation discarding 2 cards, you can have it discard two extremities of Exodia and be able to get back another Golden Bamboo Sword and go from there. So, all right. Like, look at all this. And there we go, and there's the win. It's crazy how fun this deck is. And really how consistent it is for an Exodia deck. Because a lot of them, it's not the best deck. Exodia decks are never going to be something that you're going to want to craft and play and, you know, do as much as you can. It's going to be very, very inconsistent because really you have to get RML, and you have to get a Bamboo Sword, and then you have to get Golden Bamboo Sword, and you have to keep drawing throughout that whole process. Maps give it a lot more consistency, which is super nice, but it does get rid of our option to use pseudo space. Now, this is a deck against the mirror match. This deck actually has the other pieces that we were talking about. Give me 1 second once he plays them. But like, these decks always run Tune Table of Contents to look for the next Tune Table of Contents to cut their deck as much as possible. And I think that's a fun, a cool interaction to be able to get Tune Table of Contents with Tune Table of Contents. But I just don't think that's strong enough to warrant it. It's a good option if you don't have these cards, or if you don't steal a deck list from a great Yu-Gi-Oh creator. Again, check out DZeef, he's great. But I think this deck is a lot more of the style that I like, of just like storming out and having like a really good consistency on just like, I have to play as many spells as I can and kind of like sequence them in a great way to actually win. But once you figure out the sequence of this deck, it's not that hard. So as you can see, our opponent, Broken Bamboo Sword, got the pseudo space working, and we've got Map double summon. So we're just going to push Map. Takes our halves our life points, which is rough. double summon, and then we just go off from here. Get our cursed bamboo sword, we get golden bamboo sword working. We got excavation for when we want to use excavation. Get another bamboo sword, so we're just rolling at this point. I'm gonna put this up so you guys can actually see all the interactions that happen, in case you guys want to follow along or pause or any of that kind of stuff. But starting out a match with 2 RMLs is ridiculous, and I had to show this match. We'll get into the next one. We'll probably do a fast forward to the third one I've got, because like I said, once you get to a certain point with this deck, the plays are pretty much the same. There's little tech things you can do, but really it's the same deck. My gosh, this deck is so much fun, man. And any other decks you guys want me to play, let me know down below. I'm going to try to put together a cool gambling deck for the NR event that's coming up. And I want to come up with a couple NR decks, so just let me know down below. I want to come up with a couple of videos for that week. So put them right down in the description or down in the comments. And yeah, that'll be great. But as you can see, Dark Factory of Mass Production is a card. So let's pause for a second here. So we discarded 2 pieces of Exodia to this Magical Stone excavation for this Dark Factory of Mass Production. This just at the end of our combo, once we get 3 Exodia pieces, you'll see me cast this card. But this is useless until then, pretty much. It's the last card you cast. The other fun part of this deck is there's a couple of random like one-of cards that are really fun to play, but they're not perfect. Like Gold Moon Coin and Card of Demise. Like they're not always in. They're not always active, but they can be pretty good. Or like Foolish Burial Ground. That's another card that's like a throwaway card. But as you can see, we've got 7 cards in deck. 4 cards in deck now. And now you can see we have all 3 of our pieces. We played Dark Factory of Mass Production. Put those back in our hand and GG's. Like it's just such a fun deck, and I know that I'm only showing wins here. This deck loses very easily, and I want to make sure I state that heavily. If they have a hand trap, if they've got an Ash Blossom, if they've got there's all sorts of things that I can lose to in this. So hopefully you don't hit those if you do end up making this deck. It does cost a couple of URs and it does cost a couple SRs. Oh, this is the wrong deck. Huh. You guys getting a little preview of the maybe next deck. Anyway, so yeah, that's basically the wins. I want to end off on one. So let's go to my most recent match, and what we can do is actually look at the match history here. So these are all with the Exodia deck. I haven't played anything else but the Exodia deck since, yeah, I think all of these are the Exodia deck. Let's look at one of these losses, because I just want to show. Oh, I can't. Too long ago. Oh, yeah, I think this one's the one where I get hand trapped pretty bad. But if there's hand traps, if you go second and they put something out that negates your spells, or skill drain, or anything like that kind of messes with Royal Magical Library, you're screwed. Yeah, this is actually from a match earlier that I played. And Droll and Lockbird. This card exactly kills your deck. Like, this card exists because if there's too broken of a deck, this is the card that stops it, because no other cards can be added to their hand for the turn. So like Droll and Lockbird always destroys this deck. Stuff like that. But anyway, let's go to the actual deck list. Oh. No. Sorry, I'm clicking all over today. There we go. So got all of our pieces of Exodia. We got our Royal Magical Library. We got our this is like Upstart Goblin, but the Pendulum version. Upstarts. We've got Terraforming. We've got Card of Demise, which is good in some situations. Early on, when you have low cards in hand, you're not gaining that card advantage through your cards. It helps a ton. Magical Mallet lets you just draw a bunch of cards. I'm so sorry about that. Double Summon is really good. Golden Bamboo Sword. All the Bamboo Swords are pretty good. Pot of Duality is a one of, since you can only cast one per turn. Foolish Burial Grounds is really good for putting Cursed Bamboo Sword in graveyard. Since this card has, when it goes to graveyard, you can put a bamboo card into your hand, and you just put golden, and then you, or if you have a golden and you don't have an equipable one, you pick up one of the equipable ones, because you can look for broken bamboo sword, which is nice. Map is really good. I don't know if I would use it for any other deck really, but it's a really cool card for this deck. Gold Moon Coin gives 2 cards to your opponent and lets you draw 2 cards. This card isn't great, but the fact that if you go first, you're going to, if you win the coin flip, you go first. If you can win on turn 1, you're just drawing 2 cards. You're discarding 2 cards to draw 2 cards, or banishing 2 cards, if you will. And I think that's actually not horrible, but the one of is correct, because it is not something I want to do all the time. And then Chicken Game to end it off. Chicken Game can actually win if your opponent doesn't read Yu-Gi-Oh cards at all, because the player with lowest LP takes no damage. And I've had that happen where they assemble their boss monsters and they attack me, and then nothing happens, and it's fantastic every single time. And I get one more turn to try and like win, but by then I've discarded my hand to Into the Void or Card of Demise, and then I'm already kind of screwed. But yeah, so that's the deck. Definitely check it out. It's pretty fun. Like I said before, it has a lot of SRs and a lot of URs. I had to break down a lot of stuff to make this deck, but I think it's a fun deck that I don't think I'm going to change out unless they ban something in here, which if they ban anything, I don't know what they would. Because nothing's inherently overpowered in this deck. It's just kind of a combination of really good cards. So anyway, I think that's everything I wanted to go over for this one. So yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one, and peace out.